Hi, it's Maureen from Life Starts at Retirement. Today is a sad and yet very well needed video for me. I've been thinking about this for a long time, about whether to share it or not, but grief has a way of just sort of being there and not hiding. So today I think I'm finally ready to talk about my dad. So my dad passed away a few months ago, July 9th to be exact. And when someone you love dies, the world really just doesn't stop, no matter how you feel like it should stop. The sun comes up the next morning, people go to work, life goes on, but it goes on differently than it did before. And sometimes I just think about my dad just for a moment, and sometimes I just want to sit and cry and wallow in self-pity and remember him. And so I'll bring out my phone and I'll look at his pictures and I'll smile through my tears. But you see, my dad had dementia. He had been living in a home for 2.5 years before he passed. And some days when I would walk in, he would remember my name. And other days he had no idea who I was. But always throughout all of this, my dad loved to talk. He talked and talked and talked and talked and talked, even when not much of it made any sense at all. And at the end, sadly, he fell a lot. He would fall almost weekly and wind up in the hospital until this last time he fell. He broke his hip. He wound up in the hospital, had surgery. And although he came out of the surgery, he never actually woke up. So sadly, he lasted 5 days that way until he finally passed. It was horrible. But I remember thinking, though, how his quality of life was awful. I remember even saying to him, "Dad, it's okay to go. If you want to go, Dad, we understand. We'll be fine." I remember thinking he would hate to be like this. He would have hated knowing he was like this. And anyone that's lived with someone with dementia, with someone that they love that is going, you know that you lose them in sort of small pieces. One day you can walk in and they smile and they say hi. And the next day it just seems like they don't have a clue maybe who you are. That's just what that horrible disease is. But I think what's worse is that their memories, their stories, their sense of time, and then, worst of all, their sense of you, of who you are, of who you meant to them, that disappears, and that's hard. So in so many ways, I had already thought I had said goodbye to my dad. At least I thought I had. He had been gone, if you will, for 2.5 years. So I told myself when this happened that I said I was prepared. I was going to accept it. I thought I had already done my grieving, but then when he actually died, the grief hit me like a wave I never saw coming. And so I didn't really expect the intensity of grief. I just thought I had mourned him and his loss already. But the missing him was so sharp, and it surprised me because even though his mind had been fading, I guess his presence was still there. His voice, his hands, and when I say his hands, my dad had lost 2 fingers years ago when he was about 12. So this was his hand, his breathing, just, I guess, knowing he was still on this earth, even though it sort of wasn't really him, but then he was gone. And I realized it's completely different to losing someone slowly and then just losing them completely. So I've tried hard to think of it this way, or how I want to think of it, is that I think I'm lucky that I feel this painful loss, because that means I felt very, very loved in life by my dad. Now, it's been 4 months, and so with a little bit of time in between, it's given me a little bit of perspective. And here's a few things that I sort of think I've learned, at least for us and our family. What I didn't expect was how deeply my dad's passing would make me look at my own aging and my own life. Because when your mom and dad are alive, or, one of them still, my mom is still alive, but there's still a part of you that can still feel like a child. No matter how old you get, they're kind of like that invisible safety net. So, someone was there before you existed. They were kind of holding up the world behind you. But then one of them is gone. You realize that I'm the next branch on that tree. Holy cow. And that realization just gave me a shock, first of all, but then a bit of clarity. And if I'm honest, I look a little bit differently at my mom now. She's strong. She is so strong. And I did not expect that. I thought my mom would fall apart and cry every day and phone every day and be in tears. And she's strong. But she's also getting older. And so I can see some changes in her life as well. And I feel time with her is much more precious than I ever really understood. I always thought, oh, my parents will be there forever, even though in the back of your mind they won't. It just, life goes on and away you go. And so sometimes I've realized that all of us do this. We put off our phone calls, we put off our visits or some trips because we're busy. We are. And I try hard not to do that anymore. So one of the things we're doing is in February, my sister, myself, and my mom, we're going on a cruise together. And I'm so looking forward to just being with the three of us, like just the three of us. And I don't want to look back someday and realize that I traded irreplaceable moments for chores or schedules or some day. And not just my mom, with everybody, with my husband, my sister, my grandkids, even though they're young. You don't know when your time is up. Holy cow, hopefully not. But you don't. So spend the time with the people who mean something to you. Phone them, tell them that you love them. And then over and above how strong my mom is, it changed our family dynamic. There used to be 4 of us. Now there's 3. So you don't really think about how a whole family system can kind of shift until one piece is gone. And then you feel that space where they were. I always go, I'm going to go to mom and dad, or I'm going to go to mom's, or it's mom's car, or I don't like that. Don't have to. It is what it is. But here's what else I think I've learned, just about grief in general. Grief doesn't just take, although it takes a lot out of a person, it also teaches us. It really taught me to look at the people I love and to really see them, to hear them, to laugh with them, to laugh at them, to share things with them, and to say, I'm grateful for this moment. I'm not one that easily can live in the moment. My head is always thinking about something else. So I'm really working hard when I'm with them to be with them. I'd say I love you so much more often. And I said it a lot before. I said it all the time. And then just to assume that there won't always be another chance, not to live in fear, but to live in love. And then maybe the biggest lesson I think for all of us is life isn't measured in years. It's measured in connection. So if you're watching this and you're retired or you're nearing retirement or you're thinking about it, I just want to remind you gently that this chapter of your life isn't just about travel or hobbies or figuring out what's next, although I think that's a big part of it still. But it's about relationships. It's about time. It's about how we choose to use the days we have. Because we don't get to control how long we live, but we do get to control, I guess, how deeply we love and how deeply we live. And I think my dad would want that for me, to live fully, to live incredibly, to love fiercely, to be present in the moment. And so if you've got someone too that you've lost and that you're grieving for, I get it. I get it now. You're not alone. Take care of yourself and those of you around there. And my dad, for him, there's no other way that I could end this video than with this toast that my dad always said. You see, Mom and Dad spent many, many, many years in Mazatlan, Mexico, and Dad learned a Spanish toast. And even though he had been there years and years and years, he didn't speak Spanish very well. So I'm going to say, loosely translated, this toast means I wish you health, money, and love, and time to enjoy them. And so I'm going to say, I'm Maureen with Life Starts at Retirement. I wish you health, happiness, and love, and money, and time to enjoy it. And now I'm going to just cut to my dad doing that toast himself. Thanks for watching.
Salud, el dinero y amor, y tiempo para que estemos.